Songwriters, music makers, independent artists alike, we all want to find our signature sound, our sound that sets us apart from others and makes other people, listeners, appreciate our music and want to follow us more based on that signature sound, right? And it also helps you stick out from everybody else, from this vast sea of emerging artists that seem to be emerging every day, minute by minute, on streaming services, flooding the market. It can help you stand out above them. And if you don't know how to find your signature sound, I highly recommend you watch the previous uploaded video that I made before this one, where I tell you how to find that signature sound that makes you sound like you and no one else. But after you watch that video, or if you've seen it already, many of us as artists with our signature sound, we want to have that signature sound and we want it to be consistent through our songs, but we don't want every song to sound exactly the same. We're worried, man, this is sounding way too similar than each of the last songs that I came out with, and you don't want an album of 12 songs that's pretty much just one song, right? It is scary to think about. You don't want to get stuck in a box of only being able to sound like this. And then on the other hand, you're like, okay, well, let's change it up. Let's put some variety in our songs. Let's make this sound different than the last album or the last song, the last EP, whatever. But then you're scared of losing your signature sound, the thing that people are following you for, the thing that makes you you and makes you not anyone else, makes you unique, the thing that you worked hard to figure out on your own. You don't want to lose that. So what do? What's the solution here? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you how to figure that out. I'm going to tell you how to keep your signature sound and still have variety in your songs to where they all stand on their own, but it still sounds like you. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandon with Megatonic Audio. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. So first of all, stop overthinking it. Yes, there is a happy medium that you can find between keeping your signature sound and having a similar sound throughout your songs, but also a diverse one. And there's proof of that to ease your pain. Don't let the clout, the big name of these artists that I mentioned scare you or make you think, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. They were nothing at one point. And once you find your signature sound, you're already better than they were at some of the points in their career. You can do it too. Everybody started from square one, just like you. So with that out of the way, don't overthink it. One great band that I can say has a very unique sound to themselves that sounds like no one else is Queens of the Stone Age. If you're into rock, you've probably heard of them. They seem to just be getting bigger and bigger as the years go on. Part of that is due to they have a sound that is unique to them. There are different parts of that sound that make them unique in different ways in different areas of the arrangement of their songs and their writing style. There are different parts of their sound that make them unique as a whole. They also have grown in their sound. They've evolved that sound. They've changed a lot. So when you listen to the last album they came out with versus the first album they came out with, it sounds vastly different at first glance. For the first couple of seconds of you listening to one song from one album and then one from the next, it sounds very different. But then you'll realize that there's something that pulls it all together. There's still a thread that goes through all of their songs on all of their albums that ties it all together. And like I said in the previous video, there's a lot to their signature sound. The thing that keeps them at their signature sound, even though it is evolving, whether that's the mix quality, the instruments they're using, they seem to be able to have such a diversity in their body of work, even though it still all sounds like Queens of the Stone Age. The biggest thing that ties it all together is the voice of the singer. The singer's voice is very unique. It's kind of a voice out of time and genre, not just time, but genre. So it's like 40s and 50s crooner era stuff It sounds kind of in that style, in those, that style, that tone, and yet it's hard rock. And even though they're hard rock, some of their songs are very much not hard rock, but it still sounds like, man, that's a Queens of the Stone Age song. It just fits them perfectly. And there's different reasons for that, but the main one being his vocal sound is consistent throughout. And he's really developed it over the years, really leaned into it too. So it really sets them apart to where they can have completely different arrangements. They could do a song one way, like a rock song, and then have a completely different version of it and release that. Completely different arrangement, different mix, a live song even, and it would still sound like them, and it would still be amazing. For example, they've already done this. They just did a Live in the Catacombs performance, which is really cool. And if you listen to the song Collapsia, the original version on their album Like Clockwork, listen to that. And first of all, Collapsia itself is mostly very different from a lot of their hard rock stuff, but there's still that through line, that thread that ties it all together with his voice. And it's got some hard rock parts to it in the song. The arrangement changes throughout. But then you listen to Collapsia, Alive in the Catacombs, vastly different interpretation of the song. And it still sounds like them. It still does. It's a bunch of strings. It is live. Everything about it is different. And yet it still sounds like them. It still carries their signature sound. The way they're able to do that type of thing, no matter what song it is, no matter if we're talking about going from song to song, album to album, year to year, or version to version of a specific song, it doesn't matter. The way that they're able to evolve their sound but still keep it their signature sound is not only the voice that keeps it through. Let's say that you have a change in singer in your band, or if you're a independent artist and it's your work, all of it's yours, it's just you're calling the shots, you're the main act, you're the front man, the front woman, your voice can change. Now it can deepen, you could have an accident or whatever, some surgery, something happens, and your voice changes. Maybe you could still sing in the same style, and that could help. But even if the worst were to happen, I'm not trying to scare you, I'm not trying to give you extra anxiety, but even if the worst were to happen with your voice, you can still have other things that are that through line, that thread that tie everything together. Sometimes you'll have some things that are part of your signature sound, a lot of your songs on an album, but there's a few of them that some elements aren't there, and you switch them out with other things. And you just kind of interweave parts of your signature sound that aren't just your voice, such as tones of your instrument. Queens of the Stone Age, again, they are pretty famous for having that kind of that mid-range honk tone of, guitars in bass amps. That kind of thing is part of their sound a lot, especially in their heavier stuff. And then as they evolved, they added things like synthesizers and then interwove that with some of that hard rock tone stuff that they came up with in the that mid-range honk and stuff like that. And they also have certain types of melodies that they use on their instruments too. So you could completely change the instrument and the tone, but still play that weird Queens of the Stone Age. I've seen people call it, maybe it was Josh Homme himself, call it the drunken stumble, throwing some accidentals in there, some passing tones, and they do that a lot, and it adds to their signature sound, so they can play those types of melodies and licks and stuff on different instruments, on instruments that they've never had in a song before and they won't have again. But if they play that, it ties it back into their signature sound. And so I hope you can gather what I'm saying. Basically, it's just this. Your voice is a huge part, and that is, with the human brain, we're supposed to use our ears to recognize human things. The human voice is going to stick out the most in a song. It's the thing you're most critical of. It's the thing that pulls your ear the most. Even when you're listening to instrumentals, it's just instrumentals, and then they just have like some gang vocals or backups in the background just come in with oohs, or your ear immediately pulls to that more than it does other stuff. That's just the human nature of it. So that's why the human voice is probably the biggest part of your signature sound. Even if your vocal tone changes, you can do the style of melody like I'm talking about, the style of singing, the way you vibrato. Like Toby Keith's vibrato was very much a Toby Keith thing. Even when his voice got a little deeper as he got older, it was always there. There's different ways you can do this, but you can evolve your sound and still have your signature sound that you had day one, right? I hope that all makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the comments below. But I just don't want you to think that if you change things up, it's bad, or you'll immediately be like another big artist, Andre 3000, going from everything he got famous for, everything we know him for, and then he did that flute album. If you haven't heard, yeah, that's real. He did that. And I don't think really anybody liked it. Sorry, I mean, it just wasn't, because it wasn't him. Even if you play flute, I'm sure you could see what I'm talking about in that there was no part of that was really, I mean, it was just too much of a differentiation from what he was to something new. So don't be afraid. You're not going to go that far as long as you use either similar tones, your voice, your vocal style, if you can keep that as consistent as possible, even though your voice changes over time, gets deeper, maybe more raspy, but you can still sing in the same style. And if you lose your voice completely, the types of melodies you play on your instruments or the types of instruments themselves, the arrangements, all that stuff, you can still change it all out sparingly. Don't change every single thing from song to song, because then that's when you get into the territory of now everything's just different. But you can change some things and leave other things in there to stay in your style of sound, your signature sound. All right, I hope that helps. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll just clarify some more in another video. I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps me get to more people like you to talk about topics like this, and it costs you nothing, but it helps me. So I really appreciate it if you do all or some of that, and comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about this video, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next one. Thanks.